Hi everyone, my name's Moose, and today we're back at it again with a Sonic slash fiction. This is chapter 2 of the same slash fiction we read last time. Hopefully, I can keep my wits and not laugh at anything incredibly stupid or uncomfortable. I hope you all enjoy. Knuckles and I walked into our first class of the day, a few other students behind us. The teacher glanced at us and shook his head. He was a brown hedgehog, wearing a green long-sleeve shirt and khakis, and at least in his mid to late 20s. "Late for your first class of the year?" he asked us. I was about to answer him when he spoke again. "Just take your seats. Anywhere's fine." I nodded and sat down at a seat in the second row, Knuckles sitting right next to me. I looked at the other students around me. There were plenty of kids talking, though most were waiting for the teacher to begin, the first of many lectures this year. He then stood up at his desk and walked to the front of the room. "Students, my name is Mr. Stewart. Now, your physics books are underneath your desk. Take them out and turn them to page 10. This is a refresher page. Review what you do and do not know while I call roll. After that, we'll get started," he told us. I sighed and pulled out my book, Knuckles doing the same, while the teacher started calling out the names. "Chance, here." I started reading the textbook, hearing the anonymous whispering. Almost all of the things in this book I was reading were completely new to me. Then I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned my head to find Knuckles looking at me. "What?" I asked. "Jerry?" "Present." "You have a pencil I can borrow?" the Crimson Echidna asked. Shouldn't be one of the things that, you get ready for school, you always have, utensils? You think? I don't know. "Yeah, I think so," I muttered. "Hold on." I then looked in my bag and started looking. "Scourge." My eyes then widened slightly at the familiar name being called. I then slowly looked over my shoulder and saw the green hedgehog, sporting a black jacket, red shades, and ripped blue jeans. He smirked at me and finally replied. "Right here," Scourge answered. Who's this random hedgehog? Anyway, Knuckles then looked at me confused. "Amy? The pencil?" he asked, probably not noticing that Scourge's name was just called. "Oh, we're supposed to be Amy. But wait, are we Amy? Are we Sonic? Oh, at the top it says physics class, Amy's point of view. I didn't know we were Amy this whole time." "Oh yeah," I said. I then took one out and handed it to him. "Thanks, I'll give it back later," he told me. "Keep it," I mumbled. "Thanks." He then slipped it into his pocket for later, probably. Of course it's for later. What? And went back to reading. After I saw Scourge, it was hard to keep focused on my work. I kept glancing back at him, wondering why he was here, and not back on Mobius. After that, class seemed to take forever. I was just waiting for the class to be dismissed, because I was not wanting to be near Scourge, because of the last time we met. Something happened. I don't know. After a while, Knuckles must have noticed something was wrong, because he tapped me only the shoulder again. "Yarr." "Yes," I asked in a slightly nervous tone. "What's wrong?" Knuckles whispered. I then eyed Scourge yet again, and he noticed. He smirked at me and then leaned back in his seat, not caring about the classwork. I then looked back at Knuckles. "Scourge is here," I told him. "What?" he asked, then he looked back. He saw Scourge. "Great. The last thing we need is him. Look, Amy, just calm down and do your work, all right?" I nodded and looked back at my work. But it was impossible to concentrate, now with him on my mind. "Oh, God, help me," I thought. After what seemed like forever, the bell rang for the next class. I quickly stood up and walked to the door as the other students began getting out of their seats. As I walked out of the class, I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Hey, Amy, leaving so soon?" I heard a voice say. I breathed in slowly and turned around. It was Scourge. What do you want? I asked, trying not to look worried. He then started stepping towards me and I backed up until I hit the lockers. He then smiled. Scared? He asked. Screw you, I growled. Now it says normal point of view. I assume normal means Sonic's point of view. Wait. Or normal point of view is like third person point of view, I guess. Whatever. The lime hedgehog simply sighed in annoyance and put one of his arms on the locker. That's not how a sweet girl like you should be talking, Rose. Heh heh, Scourge told her. Amy then tried to move away, but he stopped her, moving in the way. Come on, Amy, I just wanted to ask you a question. Amy sighed and began to think it over. Fine, make it quick, she told him. All right, he said, still smiling. Mind if I take you out on a date after school? After hearing that, she froze. What did he just ask me? She thought to herself. What? She asked finally, after a period of silence. You heard me, he told her. No, she told him. Why not? He asked, frowning. No girl had ever refused him, not that he knew of. Because you're a creep, and I like Sonic, she muttered. Oh, whatever. You know you want a bad boy like me, heh heh, Scourge told her. He then leaned forward towards her, and she pressed herself against the lockers, freaking out now. And suddenly Knuckles stepped behind Scourge and grabbed him. Leave her alone, Scourge, I mean it, Loretta Echidna, whatever, told him in a serious... Scourge then sighed and just smirked. Fine, he muttered. He then backed up and started walking. But if you change your mind, Rose, you know where to find me. He then walked off, that evil smirk still on his face. Amy shivered. You okay, Amy? Knuckles asked. Yeah, Knuckles, she replied. I'm fine. Well, I have biology next, Amy. You head to your next class, he told her. All right, she said. She then turned around and started walking. She looked at her schedule again and looked at her next class, art. She then smiled. I guess today won't be so bad, she told herself. She then took off to her next class. Gym. Sonic's point of view. Finally, it's gym class, I muttered. Yeah, Shadow told me. Finally something I'm actually interested in. We were in the gym, along with a bunch of other students. The gym teacher then walked up to us. He was a gray mongoose, wearing a short-sleeved red shirt and shorts. He was in his mid-20s, and when I saw him, I must have stared, because I felt something hit me in the back of the head. I then turned around and saw an aggravated Shadow. Sorry, I mumbled, looking at the ground. Shadow then sighed and crossed his arms. It's all right. All right, students, welcome to the first day of high school, the teacher shouted. I am Coach Howard. He then sat down at a temporary desk and looked at us. Come up one at a time and hand me your schedule. We then formed a line and started handing in our out schedules as he looked at them and handed them back. Once we were done, he stood up and folded up the table, placing it on the nearby wall. He then picked up a bag and opened it. He took out 3 basketballs and tossed them towards us. Since today is the first day, we won't be doing anything scheduled. Not until this Wednesday anyways, he told us. He then pointed at the 6 hoops around the gym. There are 6 hoops, so there's enough for 3 games. Any trouble and your basketball gets taken, he said. Got it? We all nodded. All right, I have to go to talk one of the other coaches. No going at each other's throats, he said. I grabbed one and grinned at Shadow. He grinned back. I then sped to the nearest hoop and then he followed me. I then started dribbling the ball. I then took that ball and then put it in my hands again. Then I'm adding a little bit of, fancy embellishment. I'll go slower since it wouldn't be fair if I didn't, I told him. Fine with me, he said back. I then ran past him and headed towards the hoop, dribbling fast so it wouldn't bounce out of my hands. And suddenly it was knocked from my hands, and when I turned around, I saw Shadow running towards the opposite hoop with the ball. I grunted and ran to catch up with him. As I got right up to him, he jerked to a stop and tossed the ball at the hoop. I quickly ran past him and jumped, grabbed the rim with one hand, and hit the ball away with the other, and it pelted the floor. I then let go and laid it on the floor. Out on you, I heard Shadow say. Huh? I muttered. I then saw Shadow walking towards the ball, which had flown out of bounds. I frowned. Crap. I then walked over to the boundary next to him. Check, he said, bouncing the ball towards me. I bounced it back, and he grabbed it, running straight past me back to the hoop. I kept behind him, not getting too close or too far. I'm gonna make it, Sonic, he told me, smirking, not taking his eyes off the ball. "Oh yeah?" I asked. I then took a dive for the ball, and he quickly slammed it to the ground. It then bounced too high for me to grab, and he jumped into the air, caught it, and flung it through the hoop. As soon as he got back to the ground, he chuckled. "Yeah, take that, bitch." He didn't say that last part. Anyway, I returned the smirk, and he reached out his hand, and I grabbed it, pulling myself up. There were a crowd of kids watching us from the wall, mostly girls. They kept on giving us looks, but I sighed. "Sorry, girls, but I have my one and only guy," I thought. Okay, I'll admit, that was good. How is that good? "Oh, okay," I told him, and then he chuckled again, and I walked to the boundary close to his hoop. He tossed me the ball, I tossed it back, and he tossed it back, and I tossed it back, and he tossed it back. I was ready. I then sped past him, now a blue blur of speed. That's really hard to say when you're like focusing. Blue blur, blue blur, blue blur. I then quickly ran up the opposite pole as if I was walking on flat ground, and jumped sideways and tossed the ball, and it swished through the hoop. I then turned my body to land. When I noticed I wasn't going to land on the ground, I was going to land on another kid. "Look out!" I shouted. The echidna, who was about 5'11", turned around to look at me before I slammed into him. Normal point of view. The echidna grunted, and Sonic let out a small yelp of pain as the two connected, and they both hit the ground. Shadow immediately ran over, accompanied by a few other guys and girls. They got around the two, and the echidna slowly got up, while Sonic slowly sat up and rubbed his head. "Ow, that hurt," he muttered. Sonic then looked up at the echidna. It was about a food 3 to 4 inches taller than him, and stood up. "Sorry about that." The echidna then suddenly grabbed him by the shirt with one of his hands and lifted him up. He then reared back his fist and punched Sonic in the side of the face, causing him to fly back a few feet. "Stupid brat. That's for body slamming me, you idiot," the echidna yelled. "Jason, what's your problem?" one of the girls yelled. "Shut up, Jackie," the echidna yelled back. He then turned back to face Sonic, but was tackled by Shadow, who was mad as hell at this point. "Asshole, you won't fucking touch him again," Shadow yelled, his teeth clenched. He then punched Jason in the face and was about to punch him again when a few of the other guys grabbed him by his arms and pulled him back. Then suddenly the gym coach walked back into the gym and ran over. "What the hell did you kids do?" he yelled. Normally he probably wouldn't have said that, but he had good reason to. Not that anyone cared. "Coach Howard, Jason was trying to beat the crap out of that kid," one of the guys shouted. Coach Howard then looked at Jason, then at Shadow, then at Sonic. "What happened?" Jason then growled and stood up. "I'll tell you what happened. That idiot over there body slammed me to the ground." "No, he didn't," Shadow yelled. "He fell on you by accident and tried to apologize, and you slugged him in the face, you moron." And then the jackass right there tackled my. And punched me. Jason yelled, pointing at Shadow, fire in his eyes. As soon as the word jackass left Jason's mouth, Shadow had had enough. He jerked from the guy's arms and ran at Jason, ready to beat the shit out of him, when Coach Howard grabbed him, stopping him in his tracks. "Let me go," Sonic growled. Shadow growled, wanting to tear the echidna's head off. "Calm down," Coach Howard yelled. Shadow then stopped and glared at Jason. He had punched Sonic. He called him a jackass. This kid was gonna get it. And Shadow would make sure of that, but not now. "Jason, Shadow," Howard said, "get to the principal's office and write your statements. Jackie, take Sonic to the nurse's office." "Yes, sir," Jackie muttered. Jason and Shadow walked to the principal's office while Jackie walked over to Sonic. Sonic grunted in pain and sat up. Jackie frowned as she noticed he had a black eye and a busted lip. "Are you all right?" Jackie asked. So, this is a legitimate question. Since Sonic has like one giant eye that's made up of two eyes, does that mean the whole thing is black and blue? Or is like one side black and blue? These are the questions I ask. "Come on. Let's get you to the nurse's office," she told him. The Sonic nodded, and they got to the principal's office in less than a few minutes. I sure hope it's less than a few minutes. That'd be a big school if it was any longer. As they walked in, the nurse glanced at Sonic and sighed. "What happened?" she asked. "One of the seniors gave him a good punch," Jackie told her. Sonic then sat down in a chair, and the nurse crouched down and examined him. "Well, That bruise isn't gonna go anyway anytime soon, probably in a week. The lip will heal soon, in about a day or two. The best I could do is give you an ice bag and a pat on the back, she told him, adding a small grin. Sonic returned the grin, and the nurse walked over to the freezer and pulled out an ice pack, walked back over and gave it to him. Well, that's all I can do, she said. Oh, and your name is Sonic, right? She asked. Sonic nodded. Well, Coach Howard told me over the speaker that you should head to the principal's office just to give you your statement, she told him. All right, thanks, Sonic said. No problem, she replied. And then Jackie and Sonic left for the principal's office. When they got there, Sonic saw Shadow and Jason sitting down in the chairs next to the office. Sonic sat down. Then Jackie followed suit. Shadow glanced at her, frowning slightly, and went back to glaring at Jason, who was extremely mad at the moment. The principal walked out soon after and smiled at Jackie. The principal was a purple fox. We're getting a real furry shit here. Who at the moment was wearing a thin brown coat and slacks with short-heeled shoes. Thank you, Jackie. You can go to the gym now, the principal told her. Yes, Miss Neary, Jackie replied. There's gonna be some furry shit. It's a female purple fox. I'm just saying, I haven't read ahead in this, but it's gotta happen. Bye, Sonic. After Jackie left, the principal looked at the three. Come in. I'll need each of your sides of the stories. The three then walked in, and Shadow explained what happened. And she looked at Sonic, who had the ice pack on his head the entire time. Well, Jason, is that true? She asked. Giving him a stern look, he then looked at the ground, grimace. Yes, Miss Neary, he grumbled. She then sighed. All right, Shadow, I'm going to let you off easy, with a warning. This is the first time you've ever committed an offense at the school, and this is your 3rd year. Jason, however, this will be your 10th offense since you came here 4 years ago, and you should know better. You're getting 4 days of detention. 4 days, but Miss Jason was then cut off by Miss Neary, who was not in the mood. Nope, no buts. You're getting it, and that's final, she told him. Yes, ma'am, he growled. All right, you three go. Jason, I'm expecting you at detention after school, the principal told him. The three then walked outside, and Jason growled at Sonic and Shadow. Assholes, I'll get you for this, he muttered. Sonic and Shadow stopped and let Jason keep walking. And as he rounded the corner back to gym class, Shadow looked at Sonic. Are you all right? Did he hurt you that badly? Shadow asked, worried, looking at his injuries. Don't worry, Shadow, Sonic told him, putting on a weak grin for emphasis. I'm good. It stings a bit, but I'm fine. Shadow then sighed and kissed Sonic on the forehead. I'll get him for that, Shadow told him. Don't. You'll only get in trouble, Sonic replied as they started walking again. All right, I'll make it up to you after school, okay? Shadow asked. It's not necessary, Sonic started, but all right. What does he mean, make it up to you? Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus. Two then shared a small hug after that and walked back to gym class. After that, the rest of the day ran smoothly, as gym was the only class Sonic and Shadow had with the bullying senior, and they had the rest of their periods together. After the final bell rung, Shadow and Sonic walked to their lockers and grabbed their stuff. As they were walking towards the door, Amy rounded the corner and saw the azure hedgehog. Why do you have to be fancy with the blues? I know I mentioned this last time. Just call him Sonic the Hedgehog. We know who he is. We don't have to, we know his name. Come on, man. Get with the times. She then ran down the hall and hugged him, obviously worried. Sonic, are you okay? I heard you got hurt at gym, she said. The scene attracted a large amount of eyes, but the kids kept walking on towards the door as if they could care less. They probably couldn't care less. Yeah, Amy, I'm fine, Sonic told her. Want me to kiss it and make it better? Amy asked, Smiley. He'll do without that, Shadow muttered. As he stepped in between the two, Amy then sighed in aggravation, wondering why Shadow was always getting between her and Sonic. Sonic! A familiar voice shouted. Sonic looked up to see Tails as he ran over. You okay? Sonic sighed. Yeah, little bro, I'm fine. That's good, Tails told him. Shadow frowned slightly as Sonic's attention was being taken away from him. Why is Shadow such a needy little fuck? He needs Sonic's attention 24/7. That's why they're in the same class. Shadow gets fucking jealous, like, oh, he's talking to Tails again. Even though Sonic and Tails have been friends since the beginning, since Sonic 1, okay? Sonic's Mean Bean Machine, same thing, alright? Fucking took Shadow, like, several games before he was even in the picture, alright? He's like, no, I want Sonic's attention, baby. Well, I guess I want to ask then, another voice said. Knuckles. Good, because I'm getting tired of answering it, Sonic told him, chuckling. He slugged you good there, you fight back? Knuckles asked. Well, I was down. Shadow kinda did that for me, Sonic muttered, feeling embarrassed. Really? Well, Shadow, I congratulate you for saving your rival, Knuckles told him, raising his brow. Shadow's reply was only a grunt of annoyance as the five of them walked out of the building. Well, Shadow and I are gonna head home, Sonic told them. Knuckles and Tails nodded? Fuck. But Amy frowned. Can I come with you guys, Amy asked. No, Shadow told her in an assertive tone. Oh, fine, Amy muttered, giving Shadow a slightly nasty look, which he promptly ignored. Sonic and Shadow then sped back to Sonic's house, leaving the others behind, and were there in less than a few minutes, Sonic then unlocking the door, and the two stepped in the dark house. All the blinds were closed to keep the house cool, which explained the darkness. Sonic flicked on one of the lights, dropped his bag on the floor, and dropped onto the couch, and Shadow sat on the other side. Putting Sonic's head in his lap, Sonic smiled, and Shadow lowered his head, placing his lips on Azura's. Again, why the blue? Like, you don't need more, synonyms for blue, okay? The heat then gradually began to rise, leaving the two lovers panting after the kiss. Then, after a small period of silence, Sonic finally spoke. Remember how you said you could make it up to me after school? Sonic asked, a grin on his face. How could I forget? Shadow asked, returning the grin. How would you like me to make it up to you? Shadow asked, lust filling his eyes. Fucking hell. Well, Sonic muttered. Shadow then looked down his body and saw a bulge in Sonic's pants, and understood immediately. I get it, Shadow told him, removing Sonic's head from his back. What? From his back? From his lap, you mean? Okay, turning him around and slowly pushing him back into the couch, kissing him again, but deeper this time, pulling himself as close as he could to his younger lover. And that's where we're going to leave it at. Thank you guys for watching this nonsense. If you liked the video, put the little thumbs up down there. And also, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back again very soon. Thanks for watching.